Welcome to Spirited Straight Talk, the podcast to help you thrive with the help of spirit. I'm Deb Shepard, psychic medium, spiritual teacher, and author. Each week, I bring new insights to help you heal from loss, connect with spirit, and turn setbacks into triumphs. So let's get started. Hello, everybody. So thank you for joining us. It is Deb Shepard. We're going to talk about the predictions for 2023. So I can't even believe I'm even saying 2023. We will be talking about numerology, astrology, and then what I received as downloads. If this is the first time you've heard of me, and you heard about me through Glynis or Mark, which are our guests today. I am Deb Shepard. I'm a psychic medium. I've been around the planet several times in this lifetime. I have worked for years helping people connect with their loved ones, as well as helping guide them to trust their intuition and find the path that really helps them heal and grieve and find what their purpose is in this life. Behind the scenes, I too want to mention real quickly is Dana, and she is not only my wife, an amazing, sexy person. The thing about predictions that I want to talk about is there's free will. And predictions are basically all the energy and the information and data that each of us have gathered to be able to let you know what's going on in the upcoming year. Predictions, in my opinion, are information to know. It's knowledge. And with knowledge, we can participate, take action in our life. It is no different than understanding the weather, what's coming up, the future of, we're going to be driving. There's going to be a lot of snow or hard weather, difficult weather. And so to give yourself time and a way to make your life more manageable. And that's what all this advice is about. So if you're looking at, okay, this is exactly what I need to do, you got to use your own intuition and bring together the information that all three of us are sharing that you can apply. The reason I like having an astrologer and a numerologist and myself, because all of our brains are wired a little differently. And with that, we want to find out where are the nuggets in each of that information and how they apply. Other really cool thing about doing this, and we've done it in the past, is none of us communicate prior to this. We all show up with all of our information, and you will find no matter what the information is, there's something that comes together. It's cohesive in the information. It's just how you dissect it or understand it, and it's the layers with it. So again, you're using this information to help yourself through life, to give you that awareness, to pay attention. And I also like to know that we're all sort of on this journey getting data and information that's going to help provide hopefully some insight in our life. Just like we know that, hey, we're going to have a big snowstorm, take more time, make sure your car is full of, gas, that you have some snacks and water, and to prepare yourself that you have a little bit more time to get to your destination. Living in Colorado, the joke here is if you stand in one place long enough, the weather changes. So that's why I like to compare it. All these predictions and all this kind of understanding is that you're just kind of getting knowledge to be able to make good choices for your life. So one of our first guests is Mark Alexander. He's a Vedic astrologer. He has been a friend for quite a long time. Mark brings in the calm before the storm. Mark has this energy that just makes you feel relaxed. Each of us have a little bit different energy. Mark has been studying astrology for a very long time with some amazing gurus. And so the way he brings this stuff through is layers of information that can provide some insight that can be very beneficial. So if you're new to astrology, or you're a person that really likes to understand your birth date, your astrology, and the people in your life, Mark is really one of those individuals that can bring all the little spices and information that can be a benefit.
Mark?
Yeah, we want to bring Mark on. And Mark is here in Colorado. He is also, if you want to know more about your astrology, if you want an in-depth reading from Mark, it is powerful. Hey, I get to see you.
Hey.
I am so excited. With technology, we're here, Mark, and with lots of patience. So, technology seems to improve. But I just think that most of us that are trying to catch up to it, right?
Yeah, me included.
Yeah, me included. So you and I are more of that, understanding this other stuff, but technology, it is a benefit for sure. So
it is.
I kind of texted, and you have some things to share with our audience today.
Yes, I do. Okay, so what I would like to do is just briefly kind of just offer the difference between my system and from the Vedic tradition and the Western, and it's basically just we do in the Vedas come from India, considered to be the spiritual motherland, I guess, from that very old tradition, and the the Vedic system, we use the precession of the Earth to take into calculation of where all the planets land. So basically, our system that we use is the astronomical calculation, if you will, of where everything is. So we're seeing it in real time, is what I mean. The Western system uses the seasonal um, um, calculation, basically. So things are just a little bit different. Um, that being said, I respect both systems very much. It's just the tradition of the Indian um, past lives and everything that I just so resonate with from the old world kind of came to full fruition in this life. And I jumped on the Vedic system. So in the Vedic system, we also use lunar constellations as we use the solar constellations, the 12, the solar, and the lunar, we have 27 of them. So it definitely splices up a few things that brings in a little bit more clarity and detail within each sign. So if you see somebody has a sun in Taurus and another person has a sun in Taurus, but different times, then you're going to see variations. So I know sometimes I kind of hear feedback on rare occasions where people just, don't really buy into it too much. And I say, you know what, to each his own. And so what I wanted to bring here is I'm going to talk about just for a few minutes, the Saturn moving and the Jupiter moving and a little bit on Mercury. So since Mercury is probably the simplest to look at real quick, because it just went direct from its retrograde. And to give a perfect example of a retrograde Mercury's effect, I tried to order something online just as it went retrograde. And everything looked fine on the screen, that I was buying something from. And a few days go by and I'm like, oh, I'm going to drive up and go pick it up. And so I called the company and they were like, well, sorry, that wasn't available. So we had to refund your money and you're not getting it, And so internet, electricity, commerce, that's all Mercury. So that's a perfect example of when an energy is retrograde, things kind of get muddled up a lot of times. And so, yeah. So now I'm waiting until, just probably next week I'll go purchase what I wanted. But so that's an example of a retrograde influence. So now we have Saturn that just moved into the sign of Aquarius. Literally, it's just a couple of minutes in. And now each sign has its 30-degree mark. So within those 30 degrees or 60 minutes. So we get pretty fine-tuned with our degree details and all of that. So Saturn just stepped into the sign of Aquarius. So the last 2-3 years, we all know what we've been through. And besides the pandemic and dealing with the virus and all of that, we were also seeing a lot of transformation through governments around the world, and not just the U.S., but just across the globe. And Saturn in Capricorn, Capricorn is about governments and structure and foundations and that sort of thing. So Saturn will tend to bring about lots of different nuances and aspects of things we may not have known before about the government. So now that it's moved into Aquarius, Aquarius it's an air sign. Some kind of sometimes think it might be a water sign, but the symbol of it is a water bear. The man or woman holding the pot of dispensing the water, which is an aspect of sharing wisdom. So the Saturn in Aquarius is definitely going to be bringing more groups and communities together in a way that will bring about, I guess, in some situations, it may be more groups kind of coming to the forefront of wanting more information about, okay, let's just go down to the nitty gritty and what's the truth here? Just give us the truth.
I've been saying. So I've been saying, Mark. That's what my thing's about.
Perfect.
Yeah, I wrote it
Perfect.
down because it's in line with what you're saying. So
yeah. More folks are coming together with this need and respectable need of like, no, we want to know what is actually going on. And so, if it creates issues, we'll work through the issues, but you have to come to the forefront and just like, okay, what's the truth? So anything that we may be seeing in the news, whatever side of the political fence you're on, this is not a forum for that. This is just saying this is what's kind of coming out. So if anything was information that was kept secret, Saturn going into Aquarius will force that kind of information to come out. And the reason being is Saturn is about focus. It's about responsibility and discipline and hard work. That is the crux of Saturn influence. And if my example is how it influences somebody's chart, if we are not being respectful of those energies, if we're not kind of owning what that is, that information is going to come out, and it's going to put either egg on our face or it'll lift us up, and as in a way that's okay. This person was being honorable or truthful or that sort of thing, and if they weren't, then they're not going to look too good, and they're going to be like
no. You cannot believe what I wrote today. So what you're saying, I feel so validated. So keep on going, Mark, because this is so cool. I think I've been sitting in your head all day. Keep going.
Probably.
Yeah.
So that is probably one of the biggest transitions that we will see with Saturn going into Aquarius. We are also going to see innovation. A lot more innovation, and we'll see much more of that as when Jupiter moves in the spring from Pisces into Aries. We'll see, because the Saturn will be aspecting Jupiter, and Jupiter is going to be sitting there with the north node of the moon.
What month is that?
That's going to be end of April into May. It will make its transition. Jupiter will.
My birthday. Okay.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay.
So the Jupiter's nature, he expands, he brings about wisdom, teachings, knowledge. So that kind of energy in a fire sign of Aries, with where Uranus is currently located with the North Node. When I say North Node, for those that don't know, there are two aspects of the moon that are part of our bread and butter, if you will, in the Vedic system. It's the North Node and the South Node. Those represent potential points of eclipse.
Okay.
So those eclipses, what does an eclipse do? Eclipse, it just blocks out light and creates issues and that sort of thing. But it also has its positive aspects as well. So the North Node will definitely represent things that are innovated, out of the ordinary, unusual, that sort of thing. So he is sitting in the sign of Aries with Uranus. What's Uranus? Uranus brings about things of a very unexpected nature when we least expect it, type thing. So I think it could help with the Jupiter moving in the springtime. Bring about, that's why I was saying that that would probably be more when we start to see more and more innovation start coming to the public awareness type thing. Let me jump back to Saturn real quick, because I am concerned about its influence with what's been going on the last year with Ukraine and Russia. That I'm very concerned that's going to keep going for probably a couple more years, unfortunately. But I honestly think also that NATO and other groups are going to be stepping in to try and help assimilate.
Thank you. I said that today. I'm glad you're saying that. Yes. Okay.
All right. So
that's good, because that's what I was getting, is that it's other countries are going to step up and say, we're not putting up with this anymore. We're going to do something. Yeah.
There will be, I think there will be a lot of that. And Russia is a nuclear superpower, but Putin's not crazy. So I think it'll be resolved in one way or another. But I want to just give kind of a flavor of sometimes what the energy can do. Not that I don't see this necessarily for what's happening now, but if you look back historically, like where Saturn was the last time it was in Aquarius, we're talking 1994, 1995. And what happened? Well, we had some good things. We had, NAFTA, if you think that was good. We had the World Trade Organization. We had the EU coming about in its formation, which was all about basically groups trying to come together to be of more service and help, to where we could help economies and other poorer countries kind of come up to the plate and have that opportunity to help their countries and their economies. So, but on the challenging side, 1994, we had the Rwandan genocide, which was horrible, and the Bosnian Croatian War in 92, 95. That was pretty difficult. So that's why I just said, well, I kind of see the issues with Ukraine and Russia going on for a while. When you use the word genocide, that's just like, I don't look at it in that light this time around. But I do see it as, groups are going to come together, NATO, and eventually help kind of get the situation under control.
And I think it goes with what you said, that people are going to find the alignment with smaller communities sharing their wisdom. So and that's where I was looking at, that I'm going to share, is like, there's that personal spot. There's also the national. So it's the whole idea of that ripple effect, that when you're affected personally, it's also affecting the same pattern globally. Would that make sense to you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. I would see what I intuitively feel and see is it would be much easier for smaller groups, communities, townships, and neighborhoods and that sort of thing, having an easier time working closer together. The governments are going to have their comeuppance, and they're going to have to deal with the people going, look, you need to come clean with what's going on. And oddly enough, interestingly and fascinatingly enough, literally every day, you just turn on your internet and whatever browser or news stream comes up, there's something about a UFO, so, yeah. Which I happen to love, but, yes. It's just like, this stuff has been under wraps for over 70 years, and there's a whole nother story to that, but it's great to see that coming. So, eventually I think we'll be seeing more of that.
We're all coming out of the closet, Mark.
Yes.
So to speak, yeah. Any one big advice for people watching today?
Yes.
Astrology, for sure.
Yes. I would strongly recommend that if you don't have a meditation practice that you learn and you find something that resonates with you, whether it's Tai Chi or walking out in nature or whatever helps ground you to the sense that you really feel an awareness of being centered and just kind of just okay. For a lot of folks, meditation is it. For some, it's being out in nature. Whatever really kind of helps you, brings you into that space. I think you can't go wrong. And creating your own environment, whether it's, that's why what I have on my walls in my meditation room, and it does create an energy that really, really helps a great deal. So, and I was just going to offer, just kind of pro bono, the first 5 people that if they really want a reading, I'll give them a free hour. Just email my website.
For anyone listening, for Mark, your hour is a lot. I mean, you provide so much information that if it's not recorded, you're not going to remember. It's powerful, and I've had them done for my kids and myself and for Dana. And Mark, what I've always loved about you on so many ways is you bring this sense of calmness. So no matter what you're sharing and what you're telling people, there's a sense of empowerment that I can deal with this. I know what's going on. I know what my values are, my tools, and how to be able to manage it. So that is one of the most beautiful things about you that I have loved for, I don't know how many years, but a lot. For sure.
I love you.
What I love what you shared is I'm writing things down like, oh my God, we're just nailing everything. And that's the beauty of all this intuition, that no matter how we get our intuition, it all aligns the same. It's just maybe different words or different tools. And that's what's important. So if people love astrology or numerology or what I do, it's what, like you said, what resonates to pull you in and bring you into that. So what we're talking about today is what 2023 is going to bring. If you're just joining us, our next guest is Glynis. OMG. First time I met this woman, she's on fire. She knows her stuff. She is the numbers lady. All of my students that work with me have to go and connect with Glynis, buy her book, understand numerology. She tells it like it is. She gives you so much information and data. Matter of fact, we talked just briefly today about January and what was going on with Mercury in retrograde. And I was like, yes, yes, yes. There's nothing I can argue with her about, but you don't want to argue with her anyway, because she is freaking amazing and has what it takes to really get clarity about your life. So let's bring on Glynis. Good to see you, girlfriend.
I'm unmuted.
There
you are.
We got you. Hearing your voice. I love it. First of all, I have a question because you're in California. Are you in a rowboat?
No, listen, it really destroyed my pool in the backyard because it flooded my lawn into the pool. So now my pool looks like a swamp. I'm looking for an alligator, perhaps, or frogs. I mean, it's ridiculous. It is so bad. So yeah, it's been bad. Lots of flooding.
Yeah. I have a lot of family and friends out there, but I'm glad you're safe and
Yes.
you're on some dry pavement at least. So
Yes.
we did this last year. Jane and I've had sessions with you. You nail it every single time. And I know that your story, and you can tell us your story a little bit. This is something that resonated with you early on in life, and you just took it basically a fish to water.
Yes. Well, I would say actually it was a calling, like it wasn't something I picked. In numerology, we all have life path numbers. I happen to be a 3. 3s are natural comedians. I'm way past funny. And I did stand-up comedy, but I also did numerology because my heart was broken, met somebody who explained it was just vibration, that I actually missed my ex's mother and sister, not him, that he was toxic to me. And the minute that was said to me, it just clicked. And then I started to learn energy, like 1 through 9, basic numerology. And I could read anybody within like 3 days. Come on, that's not possible. And that's when I knew for me, it was God-given. So it was a gift. I did 13 years of research, and then I saw some numerology patterns that I decided to put in a book to help people. And that's Glynis Has Your Number, which is still a hot cake. It's been around since 1997, but it's a really good go-to book to learn numerology. And then Love by the Numbers was my other book, and that was because of my wonderful husband, Charlie, who I picked by the numbers. And I wanted to share my formula and how it all works. So we have over 5,000 people who have gotten married, Deb, through my book, like that. Wow. We know about.
That should be a dating site.
Yes, of course. You know what? Technically, when I do Are We Soulmates, that is what I plan on doing is a thing where it's set up where, let's say your name is in there permanently. And then when you're dating, you can pay like a subscription fee to run those numbers. And then you're literally going to get me saying, run for the hills, or yes, check that out. It's going to be very interactive, what I want to do.
I love that. I'm going to make sure I share that.
Yes.
You're from a big family too, on numbers, talking about numbers, you're from a big family, right?
I have 11, well, counting me, 11. So that's 5 brothers, 5 sisters, and me. So that's 11. And then mom and dad, that's 13 people. And yes, I do believe I was born into a family this big where I could learn energy, because we're all very different. And yet numbers, they don't just speak to me. It is the most obvious thing, no matter what it is, whether what time I looked at the clock, what building I just walked into, what was the address, does it feel good to me? And then meeting people, forget about it. If I meet someone who's toxic to me, they don't have to tell me, I can feel it. So what I teach people is to understand, don't take it so personally. We all get so offended, so hurt by other people. And I'm like, well, what's the birthday? Like, to me, my brain does not think about offense. I'm like, does this person challenge your energy? Because a toxic energy is a two-way street, meaning they also think you are being negative to them, even though you feel it's happening to you. So what's beautiful, like right now, this new year, 2023 is the big number. That's what we look at and say, okay, what's going on with this year? So when I break that down, 2 plus 0, 2 plus 3, it's 7. And 7 means Mother Nature is going to speak up so loudly, nobody will ignore her. You will not be able to. And I said this months ago because I knew it was coming. And sure enough, look at our record-breaking storms and floods. It's already happening. But it's really about saying, this is it, planet Earth. Quit coming up with a spaceship to leave this planet. You're going to have to deal with Earth and find ways to get that clean water, get that clean air. That's the focus. Like if you said to me, what's a big thing we're going to deal with this year? It's all about nature. It's all about what we take advantage of. We can no longer do that. We're in trouble. When it comes to nature, yes, we are. And my heart breaks that we've ever politicized that, because we're just human beings. All of us need the same thing when it comes to Earth. So that I'm excited about. Funny that your other guest talked about the UFO thing. Do you know my joke about the number 7? When I meet a 7 life path human, I say, you're just waiting for that spaceship. And when it gets here, you're leaving anyway, because you're like, I don't belong here. I mean, anyone who's a 7 has to be honest. Humans annoy them. Like they can only put up with so much before they're like, I got to be by myself again. I need to just regroup. I need to decompress.
That Glynis, Dan and I have a couple of friends that said as soon as the UFOs land, we're on it. We're on the ship, and they have really told us that, and we believe them because they're like, I'm out of here. I'm
right.
Out.
And check those numbers. I'm sure you'll find a 7 in that chart, because they just can only take so much. And the other thing about 7 energy is they tend to love animals because of that unconditional love, as opposed to dealing with humans, right? Dealing with people. There's a couple of things I want to talk about. Every year I talk about things that I believe will happen, and then of course they come to pass. But I'm going to go quickly on to the Putin versus Zelensky. Right. This is powerful. Last year, I made it very clear, this is before Putin attacked, I said, you know what? He's in a personal year of 5. If he does it, he's going to regret it. It will not go to plan. Well, I promise you, not only is that true, but it's heartbreaking. I am convinced thousands of Russians are dead right now. And in Russia, they're not being told the truth. And that's not fair, right? We live in a time where there's a lot of misinformation. So each person can jump in their own rabbit hole and feel safe. But yes, it's true. The 7 has mystery, but it's blunt when it comes to the truth. So we're going to deal with a lot of bluntness this year when it comes to honesty. It's going to be in your face. That's not something you can ignore. So going to Putin versus Zelensky, of course, I felt horrible for Zelensky last year when they attacked. Because remember, he was in denial, like he was downplaying it, acting like maybe it wasn't going to happen. But then he stepped up. And how did he do that? A 6 life path is the one who rescues the damsel in distress. And we watched Zelensky become that person. I mean, I love the line when Joe Biden said, listen, we can give you a ride out of there. Because I don't need a ride. I need ammunition. And I thought, wow, what a powerful statement. So that last year, they were both in the cycle of 5, which means it was out of control for both of them. But remember, Zelensky didn't sign up for this. Putin did. It was his plan. And it has been a disaster. And if you've paid attention, it's monthly easily that a general disappears, right? One of the top generals just was brushing his teeth, but he fell out of a building. The oligarchs, every time we turn around, he killed his kids and his wife, and then he hung himself. This is all a lie. So what it really means is there's a real problem happening. And yes, I agree, the war itself may take some time, but I do believe this year, Putin is in serious trouble. Yes, I do. And when people talk about his health and say, is it true or not true? I'm convinced that because he's 7/7, he has internalized all the stuff he's upset about, and that promotes sickness. That promotes us not feeling well. So yes, I believe more will be revealed about the health. And if this continues down the road, it is. I just don't think Putin will be in power for years and years to come. No.
What are viewers find? What does the double 7 mean to our viewers? Because this might be
when you're born on a 7 day. Okay. Let's say you're born the 16th, 1 + 6 is 7, and then your full date of birth reduces to another 7. That's double 7.
Okay, that's what I want.
Yeah. And here's a fun one for you on that regarding Putin. 7, because they don't want you knowing their business. What about the KGB? Is that not the same idea? It's a mystery. It's a secret. You don't know what's going on. So again, when I meet 7s, I can make the joke 007, right? On Bond, James Bond. You don't know my story. They just don't want you to know the whole story. And going back to Zelensky, here's why this year's powerful for him. He happens to be a 6 life path, and he's entered a personal year of 6. Putin is a 7 life path. He's entered a personal year of 6. When you are a 7 life path in a personal year of 6, it means you can feel confused and not sure about things you're doing. Well, you can imagine that would be high stress, wouldn't it, for Russia? If Putin's not sure, if nothing else, he comes off as confident. I see some cracks this year because of the 7-6. In the case of Zelensky, because he's a 6 life path in a personal year of 6, I should say it bodes well for the strength of who he is. But of course, I'd be the first to say I'm afraid for that man every single day. We know what Putin's willing to do. We know that people get poisoned. We know that people die. But he's in a strong cycle to make his case and get others feel called to help. There's a call to help, and it happens in this cycle as well.
Good. That seems to be a theme, but I'm going to be sharing it as well as what Mark said. So what else do you want people to know this year for 2023?
Well, here's another one that I want to talk about just when it comes to personalities out there. Prince Harry. Prince Harry, here he's being vilified for telling his story, right? And they vilify Meghan. But what's interesting, it is in his numbers. He's a 1 life path. If you tell a 1 to go left and they don't like the way you said it, they go right. So you can't control them. And that's the truth about him. He is crusading for his mother. His mom went through so much. 100%, and now he's
100%,
yeah, he's doing the same thing. It's like, you know what? And by the way, he's also got the 6, which is rescuing the damsel in distress. When he saw what was happening to Meghan, saw the attacks, saw the paparazzi, he's like, oh, no, not on my watch. I'm not going to let this happen again. Whereas if he had stayed, his father said, look, you just got to grin and bear it. It's the way it is. He wasn't going to accept that. But I will tell you my prediction regarding him. Right now, he's talking up a storm and he's got that book out there, right? Well, this year, 2023 is a 7. And when you do his numerology, he's done personal year 4. Well, in 2005, when he wore the Nazi costume, remember, he says he never gets over it. He regrets it every day. He was in a personal year 4 when that happened too. So that tells me he's going to regret some of the stuff he revealed. See, he's just being too blunt, too honest. So that's going to show itself as well. I just love all of this, as you know. I mean, it's my favorite thing in the world to study energy and see, was that a good idea for you or not? And will you regret that, or are you going to be okay with it? And so the thing I'd like to teach you guys today, we all have a life path number, and that's what they hear me talking about. I'm talking about life path. I'm talking about personal year. So in this case, I'm going to give you a date of birth that I came up with while waiting in that room, not in the back room, but waiting in my own room. I know it was somewhere. So here it is. You take the date of birth, write this down, 2/2/1977. So someone born 2/2/1977, and then you add it straight across. 2 + 2 + 1 + 9 + 7 + 7. When you break that down, it becomes 28. But in numerology, we're going to keep going because we're just going to go for basic numbers, 1 through 9. So 2 plus 8 is 10. 1 plus 0 is 1. What is a one life path? Now, ones, of course, naturally, these are people who strive to be the best of what they do. They want to succeed. They're high energy. But what I'm really talking about is the world number. What happens if the world number 7 challenges you? What do you do with that? So I'm going to walk through each number. Like I happen to know, Deb, you're a 9 life path and Dana is a 2 life path, correct?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so we're going to talk about what that means. Like, what are you going to do with this energy? And there's something I want everyone to know that I'm excited about. The 7 gives you permission to step back. It does get, the ones of us who feel the need to just keep going and we owe everybody and we're overwhelmed. No. The 7's like, forget it. Just back up. Work on you. Who are you? What are you doing here? What is your life purpose? What brings you joy? What brings you joy? And then get you back to that. So here we go. We know that a 1 happens to be a natural match to 7. These are the mind numbers. So I would say to someone who's a 1, make sure you take a trip. Get out of your regular environment because you're going to be incredibly restless if you stay put. The number 2, here we are with Dana. This is the deep feeling energy, like meaning they can be strong, they can be opinionated, but if they think they hurt someone they love, they feel really bad about it, like they're haunted by it. In this year, the 7 and the 2 is in alignment for a spiritual break. Like it gives you a permission again to say, I'm going to relax. I'm going to find a way. Sure, we can have our goals and our plans, but let's take a time out. The 2 will appreciate that. And, 2 and 7 are the ones that appreciate spirit energy. So Deb, what you do, Dana is going to be more in alignment this year than ever. Like she will be more clear on how to deal with you and how
Right, the entire audience, including Dana, is cracking up like to deal with me. Yes, I do get that. Yes.
You're right. And just to observe, and because jumping in too quickly, speaking too fast,
yes,
is never a good idea. Absolutely. It's like, no, the 7, because the 2 is always coming from an emotional place of, hey, I love you. I want to help you. We can fix this. But the 7 says, pull back, give it a second, check the timing. And when you do that, it makes your life easier. So that's the 2. The number 3, now I'm a 3. So 3 is natural comedian. They're the communicator. They express themselves. But again, the 7 says, take a time out. What about you? What about your health? How do you feel? What are you eating? Any compulsive behavior? Are you drinking too much? Are you not getting sleep? Like that 7 is considered in the purest form. It's got energy. So it's my favorite because the more spiritual you are, the more you feel it this year. So again, 3's communication. 7 says it's okay sometimes to just shut it down. And then the number 4, now people that are 4 life paths, these are the ones seeking knowledge. And Dana, I know you have a 4 significant in your chart. What's your birthday?
August 4th.
Aren't I good? And I don't even have your birthday in front of me. I just knew that was part of you. But here's what it means. Because the 4 seeks knowledge, they have great permission in the cycle to do so. Like if it's somebody out there who is a writer, or maybe you felt called to write a book, or there's a course you want to take, the 4-7 energy invites you to do it. It's very in alignment with itself, but it's also about nature, getting back out there. Mm-hmm. Ocean, mountains, plants, flowers, beauty.
That's so her. That's
yes.
so her. That's so her.
Yes. And then the 7 shows off because remember what I said, even though it's scary, some of the things Mother Nature is doing, it tends to be pretty beautiful, right? Like you see it clean things up. Like it looks bad. And then when it goes away, you're like, oh, wow, look at the sky. After all that rain, it's much clearer, much more beautiful. That's Mother Nature. So the 4-7 energy appreciates it. And then the 5 and the 7 are in alignment, but 5 is considered a high frequency vibration. The 7 says, calm down. Don't push yourself so hard that you get sick. And by the way, let's talk about sick. Let's talk about COVID and RSV and all these stupid things. what's really happening, I do love humans when we decide, you know what, doesn't matter. I've decided I'm over it. Well, guess what? It's not over you. And so with that in
I
mind,
love that come back.
what?
I love the way you just said that. Yeah, you're not.
No, it's not over you. You might be over COVID or the flu, but it's not over you. And that means it will show up again. And so for me personally, when I finally did my live event after 2 years of not doing a live event, and there was a gal coughing and sneezing in front of me, and I'm like, oh my gosh, are you sick? And she's like, oh no, it's just allergies. It was not. It was that horrible RSV virus, and I got so sick. And I thought, that's not fair. So what I'm asking people to do, this never should have been politicized, but it is. But I'm saying to you as a human being, you got a cough? You don't feel good? Wash your hands. Can you just do that? Maybe throw a little mask for your friends. Could you do that for Aunt Glynis? Because I'd sure appreciate it.
Yeah.
Why would any of us want to hurt each other? That's what I'm telling you. In the cycle of 7, let's just be more considerate. It's not about what we believe as much as people are getting sick. And I mean, look at the award ceremony, the Critics' Choice Award. There was like 10 of them. 10 top stars were infected. Well, of course they were. They were all hugging and touching and loving each other. But I'm telling you, the virus sticks around. We're going to get through it. Of course we will. My goodness, we're not going to live like this forever, but we can't deny when a bug shows up that it's not there. Let's just be aware so we can get rid of it. Let's not let it reinvent itself.
Yes.
That's big this year. So be aware of that. And so you got the 5-7. I say with that, travel again. When the 5 goes on an adventure, they're the happiest people in the world. They love to look at the world. They meet the coolest people. Like when I meet a 5 life path that's living in that zone, they have the best stories from all over the world. And they'll show me pictures like where they're in Sri Lanka sitting on an elephant, right? They do these, they're in a waterfall. They jumped off this massive waterfall. That's 5 energy. So I'm saying the 7 says this year, go for that. Do that. 6 life path. Now remember what I said, 6 life path. It can promote that confusion. 6 energy tends to be the ones in control. We like to be in charge. We like to call the shots. But I'm suggesting the 6, you don't have to do it all. You don't have to, because they're so afraid if they don't do it, it won't get done. And what's happening is the 7 says again, time out. For the hard workers, meditation, yoga. For me, affirmations, I'm an affirmation queen. Get your head. Do you know what it is? I like this. It just came to me. Deb, it's having a love affair with yourself, going within you. Instead of running frantically out there, give me an answer. The answer's with you. And of course, that makes me think of the Wizard of Oz, where she's like, there's no place like home. There's no place like home. They're like, you're already home. You were already home. Same idea. The 7 is saying, look within. So when the 6 feels frustrated or gets upset and confused, time out. Start affirming. Do something. Say something different. Change the subject. Put on the music. Watch the funny video. Get back in the moment. And then we go to 7. 7, 7. Wow, to the 7, 7. What that means is 7s already have that loner quality, where, like I said, sometimes they want to be left alone. When you've got double 7, if there's anything they can do with their mind, they're very creative. Big stuff can happen if they focus. I'll give you an example who's had some trouble. Elon Musk.
Yes.
Elon, a 7, and look, he was able to create so many wonderful things. And then he jumped into something that may not be ideal for him. Twitter is a tough platform. And in his mind, he thought, people love it the same way I do. And so as a result, it's been difficult. So because he's 7, dealing with 7 energy, he needs to stop and go back within. Do not defend, because once we start defending ourselves, we've already lost, right? Yes. It's not about defending ourselves. It's about regrouping and saying, how do I do it differently? What can I do to make this successful? 7, 7 invites you to get your answer. If you're a 7 life path and the 7 world number, that part's great. And then we have to find out what that personal year cycle is, which we're not doing with you today. I'm just keeping it simple. Now, if you're an 8 life path and a cycle of 7, 8, again, it's an outspoken energy. It's not uncommon for 8s to go into politics because they feel strongly about what they believe. 8s Many eights appreciate beauty. Like you might meet someone who's an eight and they've got like a beautiful diamond ring. You're like, woo, that's so pretty. They're an eight. Liz Taylor comes to my mind because she had eights all over her chart, let alone was she an eight. But also, eight energy should always look at their health. How do I really feel? How's my back? How's my shoulders? How's my neck? Am I good? Because by doing that, they can dodge the bullet, dodge the problem that comes up later. Because again, what did I say? If we think of seven as spiritual energy, source energy, God energy, the universe, use it. Use it to your advantage. Have some wonderful breakthroughs. And then I would say to the eight, because the seven's also blunt, that's a very honest energy. Be careful what flies out of your mouth.
Yes,
I can't mean it enough.
Yes.
Because when they're too direct and too honest, the blowback is not good. So it's better just sometimes you just stop and consider. I'll talk about that later, or maybe I'll circle back and share what I think later. Not in that moment, especially when you feel angry. See, it's not uncommon that the eight and the seven could be upset because if they see an injustice, they want to do something about it. Take a deep breath, pause, and write out what your plan is. That would be smarter, and then move forward. And then finally, the nine life path. The nine life path. Well, what's kind of nice about this, nine is considered the old soul. So this goes back to you, Deb. They have to let go of issues from the original family. If there's any scars from the past,
I'm still working on it, Glynis. I'm still working on it.
Well, and all nines could say the same thing. But what it is, there's one of two things that happen. They either have to let it go and find a way to be in the moment, or they are so devoted that they lose their life to the family. And that's not helping either. Do you see? So I always say to nines, don't do that. Do not give yourself so completely to, let's say, a parent who's having health issues. Suddenly when they pass, you're sickly too, right? You follow. No. That's not what we're doing here. We need to love. We need to be there for each other, but we must establish boundaries. And that is when I say to the nines, just like you, Deb, the music is your best friend. Happy, silly music. And then you got your movies. You got maybe even a fun book, just something that changes the subject in your head. Whatever's troubling you, pull it back. And then, by the way, the seven will give you an answer. The seven loves when we get still and quiet. The seven loves to tell us what's up. Always, always.
I just adore you. You know that?
Yeah.
If this is all new to you, as all of this stuff, numerology, I will tell you that Glynis, that nine, when you talked about family and not to lose yourself, that's exactly 100%. And I think when you have that awareness or that information, you go, okay, I have permission, or I know what I can do. And comedy and music and that pulling back is 100% my tools.
Yeah.
That you totally get it. That's the part of it that we just go, what do I need so I don't get pulled down the rabbit hole and I don't get into that destructive behavior that I can do. And I think that's what you provide on so many different levels.
Here's another thing I note that happens when you spend time with toxic energy. What happens is you become toxic too. Like suddenly you're ugly. You'll say horrible things and say, I cannot believe that came out of my mouth, because you're dealing with energy that's not healthy for you. If you understand the energy, you can't fall into that. You cannot fall into that toxic place. You can make a note and say, oh, typical 4, typical 5. You can just make a note. So you're right. Yeah, I heard you talk earlier with your it's Mark, correct?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Vedic Astrologer. You made it clear that we all have different tools, but the truth is one thing, and many tools will make you find it. That's the whole point. It's when people think there's so many, look, we've lived in a society where they say, well, there's alternative facts. No, there's not. No, there's not. And I do know, right? When it comes to who we are, we don't have that luxury. We only have one thing, and it's truth. And if we can't get to the truth, then we're blocking ourselves. That's the other key. Like giving this information to your audience, helping them learn, getting the books on astrology, getting the books on numerology, getting the information you share. It's to help them have a better life right now, today. Not, in a couple years, it's going to be better. No, it's now. What can I do to have a great life now? And the 7 world number invites you to look within to get those answers.
Okay, anyone that's looking to get, Glynis, you have a class coming up. Can you please, because
Yes.
my students all follow you, bought your book. They learned about numerology and they're like, and they now say to me, I saw this and this is my number. And they're talking.
Yes.
Yeah, it becomes that language that is our common denominator with all of us. So
it's so true. I'm going to tell you one thing that happened when you and I spoke briefly. Well, later, when I looked at the clock, I was getting my act together because I actually look like Albert Einstein until I get it together. That's simply a fact. My hair, my husband calls it a burning bush. Okay, it is ridiculous. So I'm getting my act together.
Einstein loved numbers and science, so that's perfect. Yeah.
So when I looked at the clock, it said 333, and it made me smile because, Deb, this goes back to your energy. Like what I've learned in experiencing you, and I'm incredibly psychic. My tool is numbers. My third eye opens. But when someone is truly gifted, I get a chill. And when I watched you do your readings, when you were doing your show on YouTube, I was blown away because it was such a clear channel. That's what I keep talking about. And I believe, aren't you born on a 7-day? What's your birthday?
25th. Yeah, 7.
2 + 5 is?
Yeah, 7.
What I'm saying, I remember.
Yeah, you got it.
Okay,
girlfriend.
So I'll tell you that about 7. That means you have to get rid of all of you. Like you have to surrender when you do your reads. You're not even there. You're just a vehicle. And there's no greater number than 7 to say it's coming right through me. That's all. I'm just here to help. And that's what I picked up when I watched you do your healing. I mean, I could tell you were just talking. It was like a free flowing communication, but it was so accurate. It was so true. And I thought, oh, what a blessing. What a blessing that you have not only been called to it, but that you're so good at it. And I also think you're always grateful about that. Like, I think you're incredibly humble about your gift. I don't see any ego in your work whatsoever.
Thank you.
And that's, what I say about 7? 7's either thank God or think they're God.
Oh, whoa.
Wow.
Yeah. Yes.
Wow.
And that's here too. So 333 is angel energy, and it means call to motivate and uplift others. And of course, what the 3 of us are doing today is that we're just here to motivate and uplift others. And then going to my course, what I'm doing, like you just heard me talk about a life path, and we talked about the world number. My course, which is the 28th, it's on Saturday, it's to focus on your personal year cycle. Because whatever cycle you're in, you're going to want to have to figure out, like, how do I navigate that? It kind of gives you the heads up of what to focus on. Example, if you're in a personal year of 6, it'd be a great cycle to get pregnant. If there's someone trying to get pregnant or start a business. But if you're in a personal year of 5, that would be more like, I got to go on trips. I need you to just love me more, take care of me. Don't make any big decisions like move or quit the job, because I could end up regretting it. So yeah, I go in depth into that. I talk about what I said last year, what's in store for this year. And the other thing I'm doing is letting them submit some questions so we can answer a little throughout the workshop. And for your group, and this is only today, the 20th, if they sign up for the workshop, they get my numerology calendar 2023, the PDF version. And do you have yours? Did you ever get yours yet from us?
Yes, we love it. Everyone needs to get it. Okay.
Yes.
Woo-hoo.
Yes.
Check the chat, everybody.
Yeah.
Check
I'll make sure you both get them from us. I'll have Vanessa send them. But here's the thing. What I do is I study each day energy. There's 3 energies in every day. All I try to do, if you had to have surgery, which is always frightening to people, or a doctor's appointment, or you have like a pitch meeting and you need people to hear you, or you're going to go on a trip and you want to pick the perfect day to go and come back, that's what the calendar is. It's like giving you the best days to schedule the most important things in your life. And then if it's a caution day, all it means is the energy is not in alignment with you. But if you play it right, that means you don't engage, you don't let people push your buttons, you can still have a great day. good things can happen. But when you watch other, like the light stop working, right? Or electronics, all the stupid stuff, you could go, oh, well, it's a caution day for me. You make a note of it. So yeah, they get that as a gift for being a part of the class.
That's wonderful.
That is
wonderful.
And I know that when Dana and I last minute got married, you go, why didn't you call me? And we you go, okay, it's okay, you get approved.
I just couldn't believe it. I'm like, you didn't ask me about picking the perfect wedding day. That is like two things that knocked me out.
We will never do that again.
Yes, but also picking a baby's name when the baby's in the mama's tummy to ensure their compatibility. That knocks me out because I get feedback years later where like everything you said is what my son is today, or everything you said is what my daughter is. It's so wonderful to embrace our energy and understand it so that we can bring out the best in each other.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Do you know I love and adore you?
Thank you.
I just get, and matter of fact, what I wrote prior to this just feeds into it. I mean, you just feed our soul, girlfriend. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And thank you for having me on. It was fun.
Yeah.
Everybody get connected with Glynis and go ahead and sign up for her course today. So you can get your PDF numerology calendar. Yes.
And what they can also do, if they want to look up their life path, because you just heard me talk about it, numberslady.com, if you go there and click on the menu link, it says numbers and it shows you how to find your life path and gives you your little definition. And that way they can listen to this again and hear my message about that seven versus their life path. That would be good for them. Okay.
Thank you, girlfriend. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, ladies. Bye-bye.
See you soon. Yes. So I don't get to use the astrology or numerology. I sort of just sit with it and then figure out what I'm getting. And for me, the validation has been everything that Mark and Glynis said fills in the things that I was getting today. So what I'm going to share is what I'm seeing for 2023, and then some insights and tools that you can use. Again, if you don't have a pen and paper, you can come back and listen to it again. But what was really great about all this is 2023 is introspection, wake up and smell the coffee. We've all heard about, and Glenn was just saying this about being pregnant. We have all these reveal parties now that are going on. I believe 2023 is a reveal party, that so many things are going to come out that were hidden for such a long time. So when I was joking with Mark about coming out of the closet, that's what we're going to see in 2023. And this is not only in a global way with politics, religion, all those different things that are out there, our companies, but also with our own personal life. So we may see it globally, but what you're going to see in your own personal life is things coming to the surface, being revealed. I've already seen it recently, and I know a lot of my clients and my students have seen it. Late December, all of a sudden, all these things are coming up and revealing themselves. You may think, oh, there's just a lot of drama. This is a lot of, difficulty. But actually what it means is maybe you've had these feelings or things that you're like not sure of. And as it shows up, you get to go, oh, that's what it's all about. And instead of looking for an outside validating, this is an opportunity for you to say, I knew it, I feel it, and now it's time to make a change. So Glynis was talking about Harry writing his book, Spare. Well, I am sorry to reveal this, but I am basically a royal watcher. I love to see what's going on. It is part of my DNA. My ancestors are from there, but I really like watching what's going on. When I watched and saw all the interviews with Harry and Meghan, there was so much controversy about, they're saying all these negative things and what's going to happen in the long run. Well, if you look back, his mother died, Princess Di, tried to bring some of these things to reveal and share. But, we were not in a time that we could actually go any further. It was not part of our history to be able to reveal that. So what I think is fascinating is that he calls it the institution, that these things are now being shown. And what's interesting about the royal family is they're hiding. What they've done for over 1,200 years is they hide behind what I call now, instead of the glass ceiling, we're talking about the glass walls. Things are now starting to crack and be revealed, that we're seeing things that we didn't see before. one of the things that we're noticing is even in the Supreme Court here in America, if you're watching from overseas, is the leak that came out about abortion. All of a sudden, these things are starting to come out. And we're realizing that things are being revealed that people were hiding from before. So with politics, religion, all institutions, all things that are out there are changing. Even today, we saw so many companies are now downsizing, where why didn't they say in the last couple of years they had to make changes where there's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10,000 employees that are being released from companies. All of that, again, is being revealed. We look at this as being negative. One of the things I thought about was a song I can see clearly now with Johnny Nash. I was going to have Dana play it back up. What the song, some of the words is, I can see all the obstacles in my way. So if we think that these things are coming up and it's negative, it really is about everything showing up so we can have some clarity to make some good decisions as we move forward. The other thing that came to mind as I was writing this information, and if you haven't watched it, the movie A Good Few Men with Jack Nicholson, You Can't Handle the Truth. Part of this is so many things are coming forward for us to be able to say, I don't know what I want to do, but I'm not putting my money there. I'm not going to spend my energy there. This is not working for me. And what Mark and Glynis was saying is, where do we want to spend our energy? And what I talked about in one of our podcasts is energy coins. Where do you want to spend your energy? Do you want to keep making something work? Or are you looking at it going, yeah, I don't want to do this anymore, whether it's a relationship or your career or your health, whatever it is that you're making these changes. So as things are being revealed for 2023, it's allowing you to make some really clear decisions about what works for you and what doesn't. And I know for Dana and I, we've been seeing so many things come up in the last couple of months of saying, I kind of felt that energy. I felt that vibration. And now it's even more clear of the choices I need to make. So the other thing that Mark was talking about, and a little bit with Glynis, was technology, artificial intelligence technology. You're going to see really speeding up, but you don't have to participate, or you can look at, how does this benefit me? Where do I want to go? And it's just that moving of everything in change and transformation. And I think it's really good that we're making these advancements, but also going back to things such as communication, humor, gatherings, having that community that really aligns with you. So part of this is also saying, if you're out there in a situation and things are being revealed that don't work for you, are you finding that community that vibrates with you, that supports you, that you feel connected to? And it may be a very different energy than what you've been experiencing. So when Glynis was talking about my number and family and that vibration, how much energy do I want to spend to reconnect? Or do I want to find people that are supportive and aligned to help support where I'm going versus me feeling guilty and continue to pull me back? Because when you have that energy and positivity and that support, you begin to align better, feel better, and you're able to create the things that really make a difference for you. The other thing I thought about too is it's looking for not having approval. When we look at social media, when we look at approval, likes, influencers, I think a big part of this in the next couple of years is changing what are the benefits for you. So the people out there that have had a lot of limelight or things that we see as, wow, how come they have that and I don't, or what I can do, or am I lacking? We're going to review that a little differently and have different expectations. And what Glynis said too, I thought was important. We're going to sit back a little bit, process, and say, we're going to question things versus just accepting what's out there and thinking that's how I should be. So it's a balancing act. Even if you don't know what path you want to be on, I think what happens is as things are starting to show up, it's going to reveal what path you want to be on versus the approval of what other people think the path you should be on. The other thing I thought was really powerful today, when I was, writing all this stuff down, is knowledge is power, but what are you going to do with it? When we look at all as Harry says, all these institutions, all these things that are set up for us. What are we doing with that? What are people in those places? And what is the knowledge that we have that we can use? And how are we controlling others with that power? It's important to understand that in the last couple of years, we've seen #MeToo. We've seen where people have felt violated, and there has been companies that have taken advantage of people, organizations that have taken people's money and done things that are not good. And so some people want to speak out, but there's a price to pay. And that price to pay means judgment and abandonment and things like that. So when you have that information, what are you doing with it, and how are people supporting you? I look at Harry and Meghan as sort of like pioneers. There's a lot of judgment about how much money they're making and what they're doing with what they're saying, and they should be doing things differently. Bottom line is they're talking about a organization for over 1,200 years has taken money, and those people have not been transparent, let's say. It doesn't matter whether their stories are always right or wrong, but the bottom line here is that they're sharing their story. They're trying to find their knowledge and their power and finding their way. We may want to look at ourselves and say, are we worried about having a voice about what is wrong and what is right? And are we willing to be out there to have a voice and be okay with what comes with it? There are so many times when women are being judged for what happened to them 20 years ago, and people will say, well, they just want money. Isn't it okay for them to have a voice, to be able to say what happened to them, so that it gives power to other people to be able to have a voice as what's happened to them? This isn't about hurting somebody or, getting money, but it certainly is about what's wrong with finding out the truth and changing things that maybe no longer work. When I look at Ukraine or what's going on in the country, is it okay that we have a voice or participate or change what doesn't work? And I think so many times we play small versus having the ability to know the knowledge and what we can do as a community, a world, a nation, a country, whatever it is, to make change. And I also believe when we talk about what goes on in climate, whether you believe in climate issues or climate change or what we should do, it's important to take an active role in our planet and those that end up coming after us to make change. I think this year is, are you willing to show up, be vulnerable, share what you do know, find your community that can support you, have a voice. And I think the biggest thing is stop being concerned what everyone else thinks and be true to yourself. And that is a hard thing to do. I know when I was being raised, I was told, worry about what other people think. Be concerned what other people are going to say about you. And there's a point where people are going to have an opinion no matter what. Why don't you do what's really powerful? What is the knowledge you have, and how can you help another person that maybe you can set a stage for other people to find their voice? Okay, I hope 2023 is a blessed year for you.
Thank you for listening to today's episode. I hope it inspired you. If you enjoyed our conversation, make sure you subscribe so that you get notified of new episodes. And let's get connected. Visit debshepherd.com for more insights, support, workshops, and to book a session with me. And finally, always remember, your loved ones in spirit are just a thought away. Even though they're on the other side, they're always by your side.